Watch this video for a complete beginner's guide to the Yakuza games. First up, if you want to play the Yakuza games in order, which is following Kiryu Kazuma's story, you want to play Yakuza Kiwami first, which is the remake of the PlayStation 2 game. Now you can play the PlayStation 2 game as well. It is a little bit dated, but it still holds up really well in my opinion. And then you want to play them 1 until 6 in order. You could also start with Yakuza 0 first, which is a prequel to the Yakuza series. Now this doesn't really tie into the rest of the games, it's kind of just a fun extra. You don't have to play it, but you can start off with Yakuza 0 too. And you get to play as Majima. Now, after playing 6, you can play The Man Who Erased His Name, which is kind of like a DLC game. It's a very side story mission. You don't have to play this game. It is really fun though, but it's a lot shorter than the main game, so a lot of people were kind of disappointed with it, but I still think it's a really good game. Now, to go on to Yakuza Like a Dragon, now these games are a completely new character. They follow Ichiban here, and so you don't have to have played the Yakuza games to play it, though there are some characters that pop up in these games. Now, you want to play Yakuza Like a Dragon first, and then you can move on to Infinite Wealth, which is a direct sequel to this game. Then after you've played Infinite Wealth, you can then play Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which follows Majima, who is one of the side characters that features in many of the games. Now this takes place about 6 months after Infinite Wealth. You go to the same locations that you do in the Infinite Wealth game too, so you want to play this after Infinite Wealth. You kind of can't really play it before you've played Infinite Wealth, but you can if you really want to. It is a really fun game with pirate ships and everything like that. Then another game is Like a Dragon Ishin. Now this really is a complete side story. You don't have to play this before or after any of the games. So this might be a really good jumping in point if you can't be bothered to follow all of the different stories that go with it. It is a prequel. So it takes place in like an old version of Kyoto. It's kind of Kiryu's ancestor, but it's not really linked to any of the games whatsoever. It's a very fun samurai style story. The combat's completely different, but it does have a lot of the similar game features that you come to love and expect from the Yakuza games. And finally, if all of that sounds really overwhelming and you don't want to start with any of the Yakuza games at all, you can play the Judgment games. Now these games take place in the same world as the Yakuza games, but they are not linked whatsoever to them. You follow a detective. It's really fun. I love the story. It's got all the elements that I love about the Yakuza games without being directly connected to them. So if you want to trial the Yakuza games and see if you're into them, this is a really good starting off point just to get you into the story. There's also a sequel to this game called Lost Judgment, which I also really recommend. They've got some really fun mini games, and again, great story, and I love the detective elements of these games. But that about concludes it. I hope